Hello and welcome to this etnow special. I'm Trai. Today I'm getting a big interview with the telecom regulator, Mr. R.S. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, welcome to etnow.
Thank you very much.
It's been a long time since you've given a television interview. I know you're not the broadcaster's favorite person at the moment. I'll get to that in just a bit.
I'm nobody's favorite person.
I'll get to all of that in just a bit. But Mr. Sharma, I want to begin by talking about telecom.
Yeah.
You know, a lot has happened in the last couple of months where one of the biggest players, there are three left. One of the concerns being that will we see a going concern when it comes to Vodafone Idea? Will it collapse? Are we headed for a duopoly of sorts? And in the midst of all of this, Trai standing firm as far as its 5G auction reserve price goes. So what's the logic in that? If the balance sheets are so poor, the talks of one operator perhaps failing, exiting, why stick to that? Don't you have to move with the times?
Well, that's fine. We see these two questions of the overall health of telecom players you're talking and the reserve price of 5G. These are really orthogonal issues. They are not connected issues.
How can they not be connected? If you draw the money, how will you participate in
No, it's not a question. It's not a question of, we don't look at the participation per se. We actually find out what is the value and what is the reserve value of the spectrum which is going to come up for sale. And there are basic principles which we apply, for example, what was the last discovered price, how things are moving in the world, etc., etc. So ultimately it is the auction which will determine the final prices. But at the same time, reserve prices will have to be the minimal prices with which we should begin the auction. So we cannot, there's a full justification which has been given in our recommendations to the government as to why the reserve prices should be what we have recommended. And of course the government has taken a call, as you are aware, and they have come to a conclusion that the reserve prices suggested by Trai are the right reserve prices. I hope that's what I at least hear. So there is, just by saying that because telecom sector is in bad health, therefore you should reduce the reserve price of 5G, that's not correct.
So you see that's not a good enough reason to reduce the price for 5G auction, 50,000 crore rupee reserve price. Do you sense that this auction will be a fail? Is there a given? We saw that at 4G. We saw how the telecom companies refused to participate and we needed a revision in the reserve price. Is that a foregone conclusion?
No, that's not really true. I mean, I can't really, forecast as to who will participate and who will not participate.
Bharti Airtel is on record saying it will not at this price. Vodafone Idea's balance sheet is for everyone to see.
Look, it is, when goods are auctioned or sold, it is the prerogative of the owner of those goods to set the reserve price, and it is the prerogative of the purchasers of those goods to basically buy these goods at those prices or not. That's a normal principle of sale and purchase. So therefore, the company A may declare that they will not participate, but that will not really kind of change the decision of the reserve prices or the auction. I mean, I'm not really forecasting as to what will happen with the auction. It is for the government to really take that call as to when to auction and what to auction. But our view is that we have given a fairly reasonable, first of all, we have consulted all these stakeholders before arriving at this conclusion of the reserve prices, and then we have given those. Tell me, when was it last time when some of these stakeholders did not say that reserve prices are high? Is there any occasion which you can tell me that the regulator, sort of suggested reserve prices and everybody says they are very fine? Is there any time? Every time you fix a reserve price, some stakeholders will say, oh, it's very high.
I take that point very well. Obviously, you want to beat it down. It's a bit like tax, right? Taxes are always going to be high for the taxpayer. But having said that, Mr. Sharma, look at the market realities as they exist today. And as a regulator, I want to ask you this. I remember when Mr. Arun Jaitley was the finance minister, he said it's a sunrise sector and he will not let it go down. There has been a fear. Obviously, some danda of sorts has come also where they've all increased prices. How regularly are you monitoring also to make sure that it remains a healthy market-driven
No, our job is to ensure that it remains a healthy market. For example, the tariffs have been under forbearance. We don't touch the tariffs. They don't require our approval, while the TRAI has the power to fix the tariffs. Since last about 16, 17 years, we have not been touching the tariffs. So that's one part. Secondly, with regard to the, again coming back to the reserve prices of the, spectrum which is going to be put on sale, it is ultimately the basic, one can always, for example, how do you claim that the prices are high? And what will be the appropriate reserve prices according to you? Tell me, can you?
It's not my job to do it. I'm a journalist.
So that's why it's my job to figure out as to whether the prices which have been which we have arrived at, the reserve prices, are right or not. Right or wrong. And what I am claiming...
No, I was asking, will history repeat itself? And like you saw in 4G, there was no participation initially.
Industry has always, that's my, without any specific player in the industry has always sort of said, and okay, that's their viewpoint, and I don't blame them, that the reserve prices are high, always, all the times. They are not really high. We have
But Mr. Sharma, at the same time, look at this, two wings of the government. You're saying it's not high. You have arrived, through an algorithm, science, etc., at this reserve price. The other arm of the government, same time, is trying to keep the sector healthy, coming out with some kind of socks, the package giving, delayed spectrum payments and all of that. How can one see both of them together?
No, it's
one
not,
literally to survive, and then you've got the adjusted gross revenue verdict of the Supreme Court.
I think you are mixing both these issues. It is not as if it's ultimately the government who has the final say in the reserve prices.
Right.
Okay, so it is very much within the government's rights to really reduce the reserve prices, and there have been instances in the past where the governments have reduced the reserve prices, right? So I really cannot speak for that, because they have the full authority. Now, to say that the government is on the one hand trying this and you are working contrary, that's not really fair to say.
You're the telecom regulator, Mr. Sharma. Tell us, is it indeed a fact or a reality that one day we could see the shutting down of Vodafone Idea, or is that just...
I'm not an astrologer, let me tell you. We have been working within our, mandate to essentially ensure that we sort of take care of the consumer's interest on the one hand, health of the industry on the other hand, and we do not end up doing anything which actually, and fair play, level playing field, all these basic, preambles of the TRAI Act is what we continue to pursue on. Now, actually, what the results of those are, you can't put all that, there are multiple factors how an industry is run, multiple factors. Now, you can't say that these things have happened because of policy A or policy B or policy C. It's not
also happened because of a massive disruption, a price war of sorts.
Right. That disruption is a natural process in any sector. What's wrong with that?
So you will not ever look at a floor price? There was some talk that will we have a floor price for telecom tariffs?
We have issued a consultation paper on the request of all the telecom service providers to sort of deliberate on this issue of floor price. We have issued the consultation, and that consultation is happening. The people are now going to file, the stakeholders are going to file their comments and then counter comments, and we will have an open house discussion and we will decide on that.
So it's about a year away?
No, it's not about a year away. Normally our consultations take about 5 to 6 months. We have done it in about 2 months back or 1.5 months back, so it will take a couple of more months.
So where do you stand as far as adjusted gross revenues go? Is it time that we redefine it? Why should a telecom company be paying that from the entire top line? Should it not be just from the telecom license?
Look, this is an issue which has been deliberated by the highest court of the land. They have given the judgment.
A prospective definition.
Who am I to kind of comment on that? I don't think I must comment on that. With regard to the prospective part, it is again for the government, not for the regulator, to really make out that policy. TRAI in the past has given recommendations on this issue, and you can,
I've seen it. That's why I'm asking you.
That's right. So we have given the recommendations. If the government asks for further kind of recommendations in case they want us to deliberate on this issue, we'll consult the stakeholders and give the recommendations again.
Okay.
But as of now, I really have not much role to play in that aspect.
What about interconnected usage charge? That used to be a big controversy at one point. We have seen a delay of sorts. Where does that stand?
We have actually deferred it for a year.
Yes.
And therefore it will become zero by on 31/12/2020. That's the situation as of now. As far as why it was sort of extended, you can read the sort of explanatory memorandum.
Now I want you to tell our viewers about it.
Okay, fine. So now the interconnect user charges, we had said that they will become zero by 31/12/2019. Now, we also had said that we will review the position, in the meanwhile and see how it obtains. And then when we reviewed it, we found out that while the technology at the back end, which is the, telecom operators end, might have converted majorly to 4G of almost all players, the handset ecosystem is still working on, very major part of it is still 2G, feature, etc., etc. So now, and you cannot force these people to go on to 4G. And therefore, so long as you are handling the interconnection between 2G handsets, you need to spend that money. Which was supposed to become zero in an IP world. This world has not converted to IP only because of that large, 40% plus sort of mobile phones being feature phones. Therefore, we said that the speed which we had imagined to be accelerated and to become zero, it didn't happen. And therefore, we reviewed it and we actually changed it.
Mr. Sharma, call it an ironical situation. We're sitting in the office of the telecom regulator, and I have to say the network here is not the best. I thought you would at least have the best network in the national capital. What about call drops, the bad network that we're all facing? Because, most consumers are frustrated. I know it's something you take up very regularly with the telcos. Now they're in bad health, they're raising debt, they have all kind of other payments to make thanks to Supreme Court verdict. Where are we as far as improving network goes?
Look, the network quality of service is one of the mandates of TRAI.
Correct.
And we continue to monitor it, we continue to measure it, we continue to have the drive tests in various cities, and we can continue to expand the scope of drive test. But there are two issues which one should understand. While we continue to have these tests on the roads, the problem which is largely now being faced is during, in the housing complexes, multi-storied housing complexes or malls and, stuff like that. Essentially because we need to have in-building solutions in these. The normal tower situation will not work.
Okay.
For example, in this building, if there's a tower beyond Ramlila Maidan, that tower will kind of provide signals, but it will not provide signals in the rooms of this building.
Correct.
As good. So you must have seen, if you are staying in a multi-storied flat like I am doing, you will find that in one room of the flat there is a signal, another room there is no signal.
I don't live in a flat, but it's the same situation.
That thing continues to happen. And this is happening because we have not really created good in-building solutions. Basically what should happen is, like Bijli, like water, you should have a telecommunication infrastructure in all multi-storied building, which should be plug and play for the TSPs, which means that anybody who wants to provide internet services or anybody who wants to provide the telecommunication services, that entity should be able to plug in. So it basically, the common infrastructure radiates or provides the connectivity to everybody, because in a building...
Are you working on that?
Yes, we have already given recommendations to the government. We have said that it should be made mandatory that no TSP must enter into an exclusive contract to the exclusion of others with a builder or with an RWA, which means you can't say that a particular company will go into that complex and nobody else will be allowed. We have this issue in multiple places, especially where there's a problem of signal. And these are actually now more and more, housing complexes, etc., are having these problems. We have also taken up the issue with the Ministry of Urban Development to say that you please incorporate this in the National Building Code.
Okay.
That unless you provide the common ducts, common infrastructures for taking the telecom infrastructure in the building, you must not pass that building. I mean,
and these are safe measures what you're talking about, because there's always a fear also that the radiation can cause cancer.
This radiation business is actually a complete hoax. There is no truth at all into it, because basically there is no radiation which comes out of it. Basically all the airwaves, they are merely the carriers of the signals, and these airwaves are already present in the atmosphere. So I mean, the towers don't really emit something.
So do Mr. Hardeep Puri, the Urban Development Minister, and Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, the Telecom Minister, agree? Are we going to see this reality? I think all cell phone users want to know.
We have given the recommendation to the Ministry of Urban Development, to the Ministry of, to the Department of Telecommunication. We have had discussions with them. Recently also I spoke with the Secretary of Urban Development, and we requested that we have some kind of conference. In fact, we can have the conference with the RERA people, with the building entities, to essentially sensitize them as to how important it is to create a common telecommunication infrastructure, like we create common water infrastructure or electricity infrastructure or cable television infrastructure. So that's essentially the idea, and we are taking up that issue very actively, and we think that with these measures, and also of course we continue to share the results of our sort of drive tests in the streets and along the railway tracks, etc., with the telecom service providers. We also have developed and are going to deploy a connectivity map of the country, which will basically show as to which are the areas where there is a deficit connectivity.
I got it.
So we are taking all steps to ensure that we continue to provide the quality of service to the consumers of telecommunication services.
The new pricing, which has not gone down well with the industry, saying it's not going to keep them as viable, that content is expensive, that you're giving more freedom to the distributors, but taking it away from the content creators. Why did you do it?
Actually, this is...
And how did you arrive at that 12 rupees figure?
Let me tell you something very interesting. A couple of years back, till the new telecommunication, new broadcasting order came into effect, there was a price cap on various genres of these channels. So for example, if you are a GEC, that is General Entertainment Channel, genre, you had a price cap of 8 rupees. If you are a news, you will have a price cap of 5 rupees. I don't remember the exact numbers, but there used to be a price cap. This is for the first time in 15 years that the TRAI got the mandate to sort of regulate the broadcasting sector. We said that, look, why should there be a price cap? Each producer should be free to price his products, and each consumer should be free to whether he or she wants to buy that product on that rate or not. So interestingly, when you are saying that you are putting restrictions, this is the first time that we removed any restrictions from the prices. So if you want to price your channel to 200 rupees, you are absolutely free to do that. In fact, there is a channel called NHK World. This channel is priced at 1800 rupees per month, per channel. And we have no problems with that. This has been possible only because now we are saying there is no, like in telecom, the whole pricing is under 4BS, pricing of a channel. So contrary to the common perception which is being created, that the new tariff order by trai restricts the freedom of the broadcasters to price their products, is absolutely wrong. It's absolutely misconceived. What we have said, however, is that you may price your channel whichever way you want to price. But the bouquet, when you want to sell it in form of a bouquet, then you can't sort of sell it beyond 12 rupees.
But how did you arrive at this 12 rupees figure?
Let me come back. Let me explain, because you asked a very important question. First of all, let me caveat it by saying that this entire issue is sub judice. And therefore, whatever I say should be without prejudice to the TRAI's stance. Because I'm not a lawyer, I'm just trying to explain to you, for your viewers, as to what the situation is. But that should not be taken against me in that sense. Now, coming back to this issue, there are many channels which were actually priced earlier we said that 19 rupees will be the ceiling, right?
Yes.
And you can do that. So what some broadcasters did, and this is obviously only related to pay broadcasting.
Yeah.
This is not related to
the free ones, yeah.
Free to air,
Obviously,
largely news channels are all free to air. So they said, they basically started that even those channels of theirs which were 8 rupees, which was 7 rupees, which was 6 rupees, they immediately raised the price to 19 rupees. We have a list of channels whose prices have been raised 3 times. Now this new tariff order did not create that, it gave a freedom to you, but it did not give a, so channels which were 12 rupees are also 19 rupees, so much so that even HD and SD channels, which were actually priced quite differently. Previously SD channels were, let's say 8 rupees, SD channels were 20 rupees, 16 rupees, they could be priced twice. Now those channels are also 19 rupees. So everything became, the ceiling, everything hit the ceiling, 19 rupees. So this bouquet became a way to bundle things and to increase the prices and to exploit the consumers. We can't see that happening. So therefore, we have analyzed it and we said, okay, earlier your prices were X, Y, Z, whatever, before this thing came into effect. And then we said there should be certain conditions which should be put on this bouquet formation, and therefore we have prescribed what is called a twin condition, what is called 12 rupees, etc.
So bouquet is the way usually people do purchase. A la carte was turning out to be very expensive. A la carte, you did see the preference was also not for the consumer. I know the intention was you should choose, I like this news channel, I like this, but I think maybe the Indian consumer was too comfortable with the bouquet system as well, right? So once again, I'm going to ask you that why 12 rupees? Did you have stakeholder consultations? Because now they're saying it's not viable. And how is this going to be relevant in the digital era as well?
If it is not viable, if some channel cannot be sold at 12 rupees, you sell it at 20 rupees, whichever is the viable price, right? Number one. Number two, it is wrong to say that TRAI prefers a la carte. We don't prefer a la carte or bouquet. We prefer consumer empowerment. We prefer consumer choices. The consumer must be free to exercise his or her choice. You see, you can't make the prices so illusory that consumer is left with no choice but to buy a particular bouquet even which it contains channels which he or she does not watch. Let me give you an example. If there are 5 channels in a bouquet, each priced at 10 rupees, which means the total size is 50 rupees. And if I, let's say, I will give this bouquet to you in 10 rupees, who will buy the 50 rupee channels?
No one.
No one will buy. And why no one will buy? Just not because each one is watching all the 5 channels. They will not buy simply because the price is structured. So you have made the prices of a la carte absolutely illusory. So what we are saying is...
So is that the end game, that you're making that more reasonable?
No, that's what I'm saying. So basically the whole effort is now to make that while bouquet is a very natural choice, it should be for the consumer convenience to have bouquets. At the same time, we should also ensure that the consumers, the pricing is done in a manner.
I got your point. But so what about in the digital world that we are in? How relevant is this going to be? And very soon you're going to be looking after the digital world as well, regulating that. You've been holding consultations for OTTs as well. How far is India from an OTT policy? Do we need an OTT policy? Will it only deal with tariffs? Is it going to have censorship? How is it going to work?
Well, let me put it this way. As of now, we are not dealing with the OTT issue in the broadcasting sector. As of now, we are not seized with that issue. So therefore, let me not sort of deliberate on that.
So what about privacy, safety, that you've been talking to the stakeholders?
Privacy, safety, the telecom space we are talking about, privacy, security, ownership of the data, which we have already issued a recommendation to the government relating, and that about 2 years back, as to what should be the principles.
But you will be getting OTTs, you've been told that.
No, OTT is in the telecom sector, not in the broadcasting sector as such.
In the telecom sector.
In the telecom sector, we already have a consultation and we are actually studying as to what are the best practices in the world and how things are, sort of everywhere else. And there are multiple issues involved in that, and we are still sort of considering those issues.
You took a stand on net neutrality, sir, as a regulator, which a lot of other regulators did not. And, it was indeed a Rise with India moment. So as someone who did that and pioneered a free internet and an internet for all, do you believe that the OTT space needs to be regulated at all?
No. Look, I have no beliefs. Put it this way. Let me not. As a regulator, my beliefs are, sort of shaped by the consultations and the beliefs of the stakeholders. So that's the way it works. We don't have any preconceived notions about any issue. And all our policies or all our regulations or all our orders are governed by absolute pragmatism for the benefit of the consumers of the country, benefits of the industry, benefits of all the stakeholders in general.
Okay.
And creating a level playing field and healthy competition, etc., etc. So therefore, I don't have a view on the OTT. We have done a consultation. We have received the views of these stakeholders. We are examining that issue and we'll come up with a recommendation.
Are you leaning towards censorship?
No. We don't really monitor content. So there's no question of censorship. I mean, this is not within our purview. We just monitor the...
And the broadcasters that are on OTT, that will also come under
that's what I'm saying. So that subject as of now is not under consideration of the TRAI. As and when we issue the consultation paper, we'll come back to you and share those.
I'll make this my last question to you. All those telcos, broadcasters that are upset with Mr. R.S. Sharma, are upset with the trai for not being fair to them. Any message you have for them?
Well, on a lighter note, I'm not a very popular individual, nor are we a very popular agency especially among the broadcasters or the telecom service providers. And I don't think we are running here a beauty contest or a popularity contest. We are not into that game. We are doing our job as has been assigned to us under the TRAI Act. And if that job entails non-popular decisions, of course they are all taken after the consultations with the stakeholders, so be it. Only thing is, we are very clear in our mind that we will take decisions which are in the larger interest of the consumers, of the industry. Some players will be adversely affected. Some stakeholders will be positive.
And then you're called biased.
Positive. Yeah, that's okay. That's the name of the game.
The incumbents always say that the regulator is more fair to the disruptor LGO.
It hurts to be called biased, unfortunately, but then I mean, I can't control that ecosystem of what sort of people describe or what the stakeholders do. Everybody is free to basically have his opinion. Only thing which I can say is that we have always strived to be an entity which is fair, which is objective, which actually works for the betterment of the industry, a healthy industry, sort of quality of service, affordability, consumer interest, all these issues we try to strive. Some people see it other way. I mean, I can't help it.
And with that, Mr. Sharma, I'd like to thank you for giving us an interview. Thank you so much for being so candid.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.